What's up, everybody? In this video, we are going to look at the ransomware entry points. How does ransomware get into your network? So let's have a look at the overview. We are going to go through the infector vectors. One thing about the information security, just like a infection vector, as the entry point in your network. Then we are going to look at the some sample infection points, and we are going to walk through about the typical infection points of ransomware attacks. This will arm you with the understanding where you look into your network for defense against ransomware attacks. Then we are uh, going to explain the importance of callbacks to what's called CNC server, command and control server, for ransomware to work. Now we are going to discuss infection threats. So firstly, phishing emails, by far one of the most common infection vector, where user clicks on malicious links in email body and therefore download the software that has a ransomware included, and that's how the infection occurs. Another very common infection vector is attachment that are received in mail. Users are open the infected attachments, and ransomware attacks occur. You are now suffering a ransomware attack. So another method is embedded hyperlinks in document. User clicks on hyperlinks and that goes out to the internet to download the malware. And last, finally, users actively downloading the software that they think is a genuine software, but actually is a malware. This is done by browsing to sites and downloading infected files. Finally, we are going to talk about the drive-by infection. So this is becoming a more common and difficult to control. It is whereby user browses site and as a result their computer gets infected. Let's dig into a little bit more details in each of these classic infection vectors. This is the five classic infection vector we have discussed. Phishing email, email attachment, embedded links, website downloading, and drive-by infection. Now we are going to discuss phishing mail. Phishing mail. So phishing is by one of the most common method for infecting organization with a ransomware. So the reason for this is that the people are very comfortable receiving a mails, typically in ransomware emails, will masquerade as an email from a major brand. There will be an element of social engineering including the email, such as if you don't rectify your account, it will be disabled within 24 hours. So lot of users will be customers of major brands, and therefore the social engineering aspect tricks them into taking into immediate action and clicking on phishing link that's including their mail. So here is the one of the example of phishing email masquerading, which is coming from the well-known brand. They are using the well-known brand Microsoft. So you can see that the fake email address contain virus and too generic, not specifying any name, and set the urgency, poor grammar, and in hyperlink, embedded link, you can find the bad link also. So how they are targeting the people using a social engineering tricks to infect your network easily using a phishing mail. Now we are going to discuss email attachments. So here you can see that the attached PDF also. So it's required to action, emails required to action, means you have to download that particular attachment, commonly as a PDF, zip, or docs, So once you open the PDF document, so it's in backend it's process the ransomware attack start. So it's not common from for a particular you can receive the this type of attachment or any malicious URL from specific emails. You can also uh, get specific documents, any malicious links using a Skype ID or any other messaging tool. Now you can see that the email attachments, how ransomware attacks occurs using the email attachment. So this is the source from Time Micro reports. So after 2016, the top file attachment scenes in a ransomware related spam according to file type. So it's from any specific file type. So you can see that docs, XLS, RAR, exe, docs, HTML, XLS, PDF, COM. So this type of file, it's attached in a spam mail. Now let's have a look at embedded links. So typically these are contained within a document such as a Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, and normally the documents look pretty normal without any suspicious. So then within a document there is a innocent looking hyperlink. That's uh, aspect you click on it. So once you click on it, the link your computers call out to the downloader ransomware and install into your PC. So this it is not just a office document that's it's targeted with this type of attack. It's also Skype, instant messaging application, and other types of application that can be send hyperlink also exploit. So for example, you can see that a common approach is a documents to be written in a resume. So everything looks quite innocent and there is a no any suspicious in this specific document. But if you click on it embedded links, then it will be download into your download the ransomware into local system. Now let's look into websites and downloads. So general web browsing brings the danger of browsing onto infected sites that push the ransomware down into your PC. Many times there is a innocent sites that have been taken over and infected by the ransomware distribution and server up malware without the site's owner's knowledge. Files downloads are is another dangerous area. So downloading files from the internet, whether this are researcher paper or executable or utility that you think that it's a legitimate can be or fraud or with any danger. So it's not allow Windows PC that infected either. For example, many users are using a BitTorrent, and recently in a Apple Mac device also infected using a Kranger ransomware because the BitTorrent it's installed in the Mac system. So it's easily comes when you are downloading any content or any software from the internet. Now you can see the example of drive-by infection. So there is a user interaction required, just browsing the malvertising website. For example, any genuine website taken over by the ransomware attacker, and some uh, general users are accessing that websites, and automatic the uh, malware download into system. So without a user interaction, they can push the ransomware attack into your system. So here is one of the example by drive by infection. Now I want to move on and discuss something called exploit kits. Exploit kits are tools used by criminals that are designed to identify the vulnerabilities on your system and exploit them. The exploit kit identifies if any vulnerability exists on your particular PC, and then they push the ransomware onto your PC. Usually, exploit kits are hosted on the server that are infected. This would be normally websites accessible to the public on web. The owner of this website typically don't even know that the site has been compromised and is the party of serving ransomware to users. Now we covered in the main infection vectors for ransomware. We look it into phishing email that include the infected file attachment, embedded links. Remember, this can be in document or any messaging application. Then we look at websites and download where the user initiated download, and sometimes they can downloading and what they think is a genuine file, but it can be manipulated or incorporate a ransomware inside. So drive-by downloads are growing a problem, especially with the malvertising, where the advertising networks become infected and pushing a ransomware out to users. So one last area we didn't discuss because it's not a common use because it's an external storage. So if you got a USB device or drives that you are plugging into your computer, this is the another infection vector where malware can be jumped from the storage device on into your computer. C2C, command and control, C2 callback. So I want to look at and this has go to how the encryption keys are generated and shared with the ransomware. That's the encrypting all the files. So traditionally, the ransomware that's run on your computer needs to call out to the hacker sites to generate the encryption key. Until a encryption key is provided to the ransomware, no files are encrypted. I say traditionally because this is the changing. A lot of new ransomware can be generate their own keys and proceed with the encrypting the files on the system. The purpose of this callback is so that the decryption key can be registered with this particular user, and when the ransom is paid, the decryption key is then made available to the user. So this is called callback command and control, or sometimes it's called a C2 callback. It's used to retrieve an encryption key from hacker sites. It can be indicator of compromise. So if you have got the firewall logs or traffic analysis in your network environment, it's always good to look to see are clients calling out to CNC server. If are they, it's indicate the something is wrong, then get your network device to block outbound traffic to call the callback server. Now you can see the ransomware process. First, a hacker can or attacker can push the malware into your system. It's encrypt the your files into your system, and how to uh, they call back their encryption key into their server, and how to the demand for the ransom, and if users paid for the ransom value to attacker, then they will provide the decryption key for to decrypt the encrypted file. So here is the example. So it's easy to understand. In this video, we have discussed ransomware entry point and major infection threats using a phishing mail, website and downloads, file attachment, drive-by downloads, embedded hyperlinks, or any external storage.